From my perspective and a lot of the work that I've done and looking at like storytelling and the ways that we've told the story of the human experience over time, and I think there's a couple of things I would point to. I mean, I think one thing is just looking at human history. I think the Industrial Revolution is a big part of our inheritance of the world we live in now, right? Like this shift towards standardizing machines and starting to think about human beings as cogs in machines, that they're like replicable, right? Like there's an ideal body that's supposed to look like this and it operates this way, and let's calculate the average for that human body. In the scope of human history, we really have kind of built up this actual myth that there is an average human body and that it looks and moves and operates this way. And then we build classrooms around that idea of that average student, and we build workspaces around the idea of that average worker, and that is a myth. Human beings, like if you actually look at how many human beings would fit into that average student or that average worker, it's incredibly and shockingly low, because human beings are so vibrant in their varieties, right? We have so many different ways of thinking and learning and working and being in the world. And so I think that that is a big part of the tension that we're in now, is that we built this world as if that average person is a real person. And I guess there are a few of them, but actually by and large, most of us don't fit into that template. In terms of this like fear of aging, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Like of all of the things that we fear as human beings, end of life is the backdrop of all of that, right? And grappling with some of these really impossible emotions about the finality of that and losing each other. I mean, like that's the core of what makes life hard. And I think that as human beings, we just, and I don't know, like that's not something that I have done a lot of research in, like how human beings have thought of death over human history. But I think the culture that we live in right now really doesn't spend a lot of time trying to grapple with that. I think we spend a lot of time in denial about death. And part of that is like not the way that we handle aging and like our old people. The way that we have built our communities is that when you get to a certain age, you can't live with your families anymore, and we're going to send you to a different home. I mean, that's a whole complicated system, but I think part of that is that we're not even near death a lot of times, that we sort of remove ourselves from that process. It's really interesting to me, and I think it's important, and I think it's important that we grapple with that. And I think that disability in a lot of ways, like at its core, I think part of it is that confrontation of like not being able to ignore the human body, because the difference and the need of that human body is in the forefront in a lot of ways, depending on that disability.